The big question we're asking tonight is, will Prime Minister's Kashmir outreach and invocation of Vajpayee's humanity, democracy and Kashmiriyat doctrine win hearts in Kashmir? To discuss that, we are joined by senior journalist Surajit Dasgupta. Welcome, Mr. Dasgupta, to Newsnight.
Thank you.
With the Prime Minister endorsing the doctrine of Atal Bihari Vajpayee of humanity, democracy and Kashmiriyat, and also saying that dialogue, democracy and development is the only way forward as far as Kashmir is concerned, do you expect normalcy to return in full measure in Kashmir, and do you expect that normalcy to stay?
Well, obviously, as Mr. Prime Minister has said, that there cannot be any solution other than dialogue, whatever be the problem in any part of the world. Now, we know the history of this government. This was the best combination possible for two reasons. One is, of course, two parties of very distinct, diametrically opposite ideologies coming together. And the other being the fact that the BJP had the majority of seats of Jammu and PDP had majority of seats of Kashmir. So this was the best combination possible, and given the different ideologies, it was a time to bridge the gap, to look at the viewpoints of the other side, and this was the best medium possible for that.
Absolutely.
Now, if it is not working, or there are vested interests involved, which do not want to let it work. In that case, those
vested interests don't want the experiment of democracy to succeed.
Obviously, they are across the border. There are certain separatists in the state. Say they want to keep the situation on the boil constantly, and they have, that has almost become their profession. They do not want peace. They do not want progress. I would say that one solution beyond dialogue that the government should look into is that because of Article 370, Indians cannot set up properties and through that process mingle with the Kashmiri people so that we get to know each other better. It's always possible that the Kashmiri youth are attracted across the country with different job opportunities as they live with us more and more in our neighborhood, next to us. They do business with us.
So are you talking about amendment to Article 370 of the Constitution,
no,
or are you talking about its
abrogation? No, what I'm saying is, even keeping Article 370, there is, of course, one of the, it's a part of the ideology of BJP. But even while maintaining status quo, if we cannot go there, they can come here. That is what I'm saying, that the economy,
there should be greater integration in every sense between Kashmir and the rest of India.
The economy of the country is booming.
Okay.
Kashmiris should take, ample opportunities from that.
Now, there's also a school of thought, Mr. Dasgupta, that when this dialogue process is initiated once again, this time under Prime Minister Narendra Modi, it should be made very clear at the very outset that the issue of sovereignty is not on the table, because there are all shades of opinion in Kashmir, and there are also those who want secession or sovereignty.
Right.
And that the government is open to maybe downgrading or revocation in parts of Armed Forces Special Powers Act, and also looking at the possibility of greater autonomy that some shades of opinion have demanded in Kashmir. So do you think that that could be a good idea to start the discussion with?
Well, people who represent the separatist voice, they do not actually have a locus standi, because they do not dare to contest in elections. We never know who is popular by what degree. Perhaps
they have called for boycott of elections, so they are anti-democracy.
Yes, yes. Not only that, perhaps it's a camouflage. Perhaps they, they are scared of people's mandate. They are not sure that once they enter the electoral arena, they will be supported by the people. So they should not be taken very seriously. However, you may, continue talking to them. Now, at the same time, the process of dialogue has to be through the government. We have tried track 2, track 3, etc.
During the UPA regime, we saw that a group of interlocutors was set up. It submitted its report to the Home Ministry and suggested a number of recommendations, political, socio-economic, as well as cultural in nature. So are you saying that when the outreach takes place, when the engagement takes place on the ground, it should be done by the government and not via media? And not via media?
The government has to be a facilitator. But the previous exercise of sending interlocutors was more of an intellectual rather than a political exercise. What will finally be fruitful is people-to-people interaction, which is not happening at all, as if these are two different countries. That should not happen. As I said, that with jobs, with other economic
But that's what the government has been saying, that it
Yes.
wants employment opportunities for the youth. In fact, the Prime Minister had in November last year announced an economic package of 80,000 crore, a good part of which is meant for providing economic opportunities to the
Right,
people of
right.
Kashmir. But there is always this talk, and Mehbooba Mufti said it yesterday. She didn't say it, but there was a release by the state government of J&K which said that while it is important to go in for development initiatives and economic initiatives, what is also needed is a political solution.
Right.
So what can be that political solution, and how can it be brought about? Is it desirable to go in for a political solution or stop short of that?
Let me elucidate it with certain examples. Many of us live in Delhi who do not originally hail from Delhi. We have come to work here. We like the place, we like the opportunities, the facilities, etc. We fell in love with Delhi and we do not want to go out. So similarly, there are different spots in the country which are very attractive, employment destinations. Why is it that the only time we get to see a Kashmiri youth is when he comes to sell shawls? There is absolutely no other interaction with Kashmiri people in the rest of the country. So if there is a problem within the valley, I'm not saying it is across the state, because Ladakh is quite peaceful, Jammu is relatively peaceful. It's only the valley which is problematic. Now there too, just saying that stop pelting stones perhaps wouldn't make any sense to them, because they have got accustomed to that way of life.
So are you saying the only solution is to provide employment opportunities and to ensure greater integration of the people of Kashmir with the rest of the countries? Is
Yes,
that
also through
the
the
solution
private
to all the
sector. I'm not
problems?
saying that you have to provide reservations for Kashmiri people, etc. I'm saying, why don't the Kashmiri youth explore the opportunities across the country and interact with us, do business with us?
What would you say to those who ask for a political solution?
This would be an indirect political solution, because an atmosphere has to be created by the political leadership, though the jobs, businesses, etc. will come from the private sector. And within the valley, of course, all the representatives of the people, the MLAs I mean, as well as the ministers, they must interact more and more with the people, try to drive sense into them that this is going to take you nowhere. Because obviously one thing is very certain: in the past, at present and in the future, Kashmir will remain an integral part of India. Azadi is not an option. That is very clear.
Since you're talking about the political initiative, at the centre in Parliament, there are various political parties who have suggested to the government that an all-party delegation go from the centre to Kashmir, and they have also demanded that there should be a ban on use of pellet guns that have been causing injuries to people there. And we know that the government has set up a panel that is looking into various ways of doing away with it and replacing it with some other non-lethal weapons. So is that a good initiative that should go ahead? Will that make a difference?
In fact, but they have left some people with very grievous injuries.
That's right.
But then there are other countries where rubber bullets are used. Perhaps, because I read
what I was asking you was that is this initiative that is being suggested by political parties of an all-party delegation going from the centre there to reach out to the people, besides this suggestion, one of the things that can be considered seriously by the centre? Because the centre has appreciated political parties of all hues, and also the Congress.
As far as managing Parliament is concerned, you have to take all MPs into confidence. But I think this will have a limited impact. What will be more useful is the way the Prime Minister often tells the MPs of BJP that you need to spread out to the country to send across to the people the message of the government. Similarly, the Jammu and Kashmir government should ask all its MPs and MLAs and ministers to spread out to the state, especially the valley, and communicate with the people, because they are the people. If somebody goes from Delhi to Kashmir for a short duration, how much of an understanding will he get of the situation?
So you are saying that engagement should be long drawn and it should be continuous.
Yes.
But since I'm totally out of time, thank you, Mr. Dasgupta, for having joined us on Newsnight tonight.